Let me tell you something. You might be more attractive than you think. And I'm not talking about standing in front of the mirror for 30 minutes trying to convince yourself you're beautiful. That's not real life. I'm talking about the little things people do around you, things you may not even notice, because sometimes people will never come out and say, "I find you attractive." Instead, they show you, and you miss it. You know that moment when somebody suddenly acts a little different around you. Their voice changes, they smile more, they stay around a little longer, and you're sitting there thinking, what's going on here? That's what we're looking at today. 5 little signs that may be telling you you're more attractive than you think. And number 5, that's a good one. Number 1, people give you a little more patience. Have you noticed this? You make a small mistake, and somebody says, "Don't worry about it." You take your time, and they wait. You ask a simple question, and instead of rushing you, they actually help. Now, maybe they're just being nice. Of course. But if you notice this happening again and again with different people, pay attention. Because people usually give more patience to people whose presence they enjoy. Think about it. When somebody annoys you, even 5 minutes can feel like an hour. But when you like being around someone, you don't mind waiting. You don't mind listening. You don't mind giving them a little extra time. That's why attractiveness isn't always about compliments. Sometimes it's about the space people give you, and you may have been getting that space without even realizing it. Number 2. The room feels a little different when you arrive. This one is interesting. You walk into a room, you say hello. That's it. But suddenly, somebody smiles, someone starts talking. The mood gets a little lighter. Maybe someone who was sitting quietly suddenly joins the conversation. And you're thinking, "I didn't even do anything." Exactly. You don't have to be loud to have presence. Some people walk into a room and immediately want everybody to notice them. They talk loudly. They tell everybody what they've done. They want the attention. Then there are people who simply walk in, sit down, smile, and listen. But somehow you notice them. That's presence. And as you get older, it can become even stronger. You stop trying so hard. You don't need everybody to approve of you. You don't need to prove that you're important. You just become comfortable. And strangely enough, that's when people start noticing you more. Number 3. People get curious about you. This one happens in ordinary conversations. You say, "I went walking this morning." They ask, "Where do you walk?" You answer. Then another question. "What time?" Then another. "How long do you walk?" And you're thinking, is this an interview? Maybe not. Maybe they simply find you interesting. People become curious about people who catch their attention. It could be your personality, your voice, your sense of humor, your way of telling stories, your energy, or yes, your appearance. And here's something I really want you to remember. You don't have to be young to be interesting, especially after retirement. You may look at your life and think, "I'm not doing anything exciting anymore." But you've lived. You've experienced things. You've made mistakes. You've learned. You've loved. You've lost. You've started again. That gives you something a 25-year-old simply hasn't had time to collect yet. Your story. And sometimes, your story is part of your attractiveness. Number 4. People notice small changes in you. You get a haircut. You change your glasses. You wear a different shirt. Maybe you lose a little weight. Maybe you just look happier. Then someone says, "Something is different about you." You look at them. "What?" They say, "I don't know. You just look different." They noticed. And people don't notice every little change in everybody. There is too much going on in life. So when someone catches a small change, it means they were paying attention. Maybe you've been thinking, nobody notices me anymore. Are you sure? Maybe you're simply expecting people to say it directly. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes, "You look different today," is their way of saying, "I noticed you." And honestly, that's pretty sweet. Number 5. You stop trying so hard. Now this one is different. Because something happens as you get older. You get tired of pretending. You stop trying to make everybody happy. You stop explaining every decision. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop worrying about every little opinion. And one day you think, you know what? I'm just going to be myself. Something changes after that. Your face relaxes. Your smile becomes natural. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently, and people can feel it. Carl Jung talked about becoming more fully yourself, instead of living only through the image you present to the world. And maybe that's one of the most attractive things a person can do, become comfortable being themselves. Because your most attractive version may not be the younger version of you. It may be the version of you that finally knows who they are. The version that has survived difficult seasons. The version that knows what matters. The version that doesn't need to impress everybody. The version that can sit quietly and still enjoy life. That's attractive. Very attractive. So maybe you've been asking yourself the wrong question. Maybe you've been standing in the mirror asking, do I still look good? But perhaps the better question is, how do people feel when they're around me? Because your mirror shows your face, people experience your presence, and sometimes your presence says much more than your face ever could. So tell me in the comments, which one have you noticed in your own life? Was it number 1? People seem to give you a little more patience than they give other people. Number 2, you walk into a room and somehow the mood changes a little. Number 3, people keep asking questions about you, even when you're just having a normal conversation. Number 4, people notice the small changes you make. Or number 5, you stop trying so hard to impress people, and somehow people started noticing you more. Just give me the number, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if you want, tell me a little story too, because I know somebody watching this has a story. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, actually, number 4 happened to me last week. You changed your glasses, changed your hairstyle, put on something you don't normally wear, and somebody noticed. You may have laughed it off at the time, but now you're thinking, maybe they really were paying attention. Maybe somebody said, "You look good today." And you quickly answered, "Oh, this old thing." We do that, don't we? Someone gives us a compliment, and instead of accepting it, we fight it. No, I don't look good. My hair is a mess. I've gained weight. I didn't sleep well. My clothes are old. Why do we do that? Someone gives you a flower, and you start checking whether the flower has a problem. Just take the flower. You don't have to investigate it. If someone says you look good, sometimes you can simply say, "Thank you." That's it. No court case, no investigation, no 20-minute explanation. Just, "Thank you." And maybe that's something we should learn as we get older. Learn how to receive good things, because sometimes we are so busy looking for what is wrong with us that we don't notice what other people appreciate. And this isn't only about physical beauty. That's important, because when we hear the word attractive, we immediately think about the face, the eyes, the hair, the body, the clothes. But attraction is much bigger than that. Think about somebody you've known for years. Maybe they weren't the most beautiful person when you first met them, but over time, something happened. You started enjoying their company. You liked the way they talked. You liked their sense of humor. You liked how they treated people. You liked how calm they were. You liked how they listened. And suddenly, They became more attractive to you. That's real life. Sometimes personality adds color to the face. Sometimes kindness makes somebody beautiful. Sometimes confidence makes somebody stand taller. Sometimes peace makes somebody look younger. And sometimes a person becomes more attractive simply because they are finally happy with themselves. That's why I don't want you to leave this video thinking, okay, I need to look better. No, that's not the message. The message is, maybe you have been judging yourself too harshly. Maybe you've been looking at yourself through the eyes of your worst critic. You notice the grey hair. Somebody else notices the confidence. You notice the wrinkles. Somebody else notices the smile. You notice your age. Somebody else notices the way you carry yourself. You notice the things that changed. Somebody else may be noticing the things that stayed beautiful. Think about that. And especially if you're getting older, please don't make the mistake of believing that your best years are automatically behind you. Life doesn't work like that. At 20, you may have had youth. At 30, maybe you had energy. At 40, you may have had ambition. At 50, you may have gained wisdom. At 60, maybe you finally understand yourself. At 70, maybe you finally understand what is worth worrying about, and what is absolutely not worth your blood pressure. And that's something. You become calmer. You become more selective. You stop chasing every person. You stop arguing about every little thing. You start enjoying simple things. A good meal, a quiet morning, a walk, a good conversation, music you haven't heard in years, sitting outside and watching the world go by. And there is something very attractive about a person who can enjoy a simple life. They don't need a crowd. They don't need constant attention. They don't need somebody saying, "Look at me." They're okay. And when you're okay with yourself, people feel it. That's why I want you to look at your life differently. Don't ask only, "Do people find me attractive?" Ask, "Do people enjoy being around me? Do people smile when they see you? Do they come and sit beside you? Do they ask your opinion? Do they notice when you're missing? Do they remember little things about you? Do they become more relaxed when you're around? Do they trust you? Do they enjoy your stories? Do they laugh when you make a silly comment? Those things matter, sometimes more than a compliment, because a compliment lasts 5 seconds, but the way people consistently treat you tells a much bigger story. And maybe you've been getting those little signs for years. You just never counted them. So this time, don't brush them away. Notice them. Not because you need validation, not because your worth depends on other people's attention, but because you deserve to see yourself fairly. That's the part I really want you to take away. You don't need everybody to think you're attractive. You don't need everybody to approve of you. You don't need to compete with anybody. There will always be somebody younger, somebody taller, somebody richer, somebody with better hair, somebody with fewer wrinkles. That's life. But nobody else has your exact story. Nobody else has your exact way of speaking. Nobody else has your exact memories. Nobody else has lived your life. And nobody else can bring your particular presence into a room. That's your thing. So, if you caught yourself smiling during this video, good. Maybe you needed that. Maybe you've been too hard on yourself lately. Maybe you've spent too much time looking at what changed, and not enough time appreciating what you became. So when you look in the mirror tonight, don't start with the criticism. Don't immediately say, "My hair is getting grey. My face has changed. I don't look like I used to." Instead, look at yourself for a moment and say, I've come a long way. That's true. You've survived things. You've learned things. You've loved people. You've lost people. You've made mistakes. You've started over. You've had good days. You've had terrible days. And somehow, you're still here. that matters. And maybe that's part of what makes you attractive. Not perfection, not youth, not pretending, just being completely honestly yourself. So once again, tell me your number in the comments. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if you have a funny little story about someone noticing you when you didn't expect it, tell us. I have a feeling the comments are going to be interesting. And if you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to the channel. Stay around. We're going to keep talking about psychology, life, relationships, getting older, confidence, and all those quiet things we experience but don't always talk about. And remember, getting older doesn't mean you become less attractive. Sometimes you simply stop trying to be attractive and start becoming comfortable with who you are. And there is something beautiful about that, because when you don't need to prove yourself, you carry yourself differently. When you don't need everyone's approval, you smile differently. When you're comfortable in your own skin, people feel it. So don't be so quick to count yourself out. Don't decide that your best days are gone just because your face has changed. Faces change, bodies change, hair changes, life changes. But your ability to be interesting, to be kind, to be funny, to be warm, to be confident, to love, to enjoy life, that doesn't have an expiration date. And maybe the person you see in the mirror today is not the person you should be comparing to the person you were 20 years ago. Maybe you should simply look at that person and say, you know what? I'm still here, and I'm doing all right. Sometimes that's the most attractive thing of all. So thank you for spending these few minutes with me. Take care of yourself. Enjoy your day. And the next time somebody gives you a compliment, don't fight it. Don't explain it. Don't say, oh no, I don't look good. Just smile and say, thank you. Because maybe they saw something in you that you've been too busy criticizing yourself to notice. I'll see you in the next one.